Hi, I'm Dr. Kevin Mailo, one of the co-hosts of the Physician Empowerment Podcast. At Physician Empowerment, we're dedicated to improving the lives of Canadian physicians, personally, professionally, and financially. If you're loving what you're listening to, let us know. We always want to hear your feedback. Connect with us. If you want to go further, we've got outstanding programming, both in person and online. So look us up. But regardless, we hope you really enjoy this episode. Hi, I'm Dr. Kevin Mailo, one of the co-hosts of the Physician Empowerment Podcast, and you guys probably already know that because that's how I introduce myself every single time I'm on the show. And today I've got my fellow co-host, Dr. Wing Lim. And again, I think most of you know who Wing is and what he does. And he's the one that leads our masterclass and does a phenomenal job teaching the ins and outs of high-level tax planning, wealth creation strategies, real estate investing. But there's a lot here with Wing, and that's why I look to you, Wing, like a mentor, because I've learned so much from you in so many facets of my personal and professional life. And one of the things in my personal life that I learned from you is the notion of time management. And so that's what we're going to cover today. And I'm very, very interested to hear your thoughts on how it is you've achieved so much in real estate development, full-time practice, a family, travel. You've done so much. And a lot of this comes down to not only goal setting, but time management. So why don't you talk and share some of your thoughts on this? Because I'm very interested to hear about it.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin, for a very kind introduction. And I say when people talk up on you, you wish you would live up to it. So I love doing this because every time we share with our colleagues, we're more alike than different, whatever your specialty. And now a listenership is not just with MDs, right? There are other medical professionals that they're dialing in. So, and we all dealt with this problem that we're time broke, right? And the first time I heard this term, this is like 25 years ago, maybe, time broke, what do you mean? Well, because there are people who trade time for money, and that's us, right? We trade time for money. You don't have trade time, you have no money, right? So you keep trading time for money. And then the problem is then very soon you run out of time, right? So you and I went through gruesome training. We all did, right? 120 hours way back, residency, when we did 1 in 2 calls, 1 in 3 calls, 36 hours straight, right? And even when I started my practice, 100 hours a week. So you pretty soon run out of time. So then we took these time management courses. We paid for it way back. And then what do you get, right? So I think all of us understand that we need to manage time. So I think all of us would at least have a to-do list, right? You know, we have this to-do list every day put down, right? And then I learn as I go, and then I learned that that's doesn't work. How many of you and I will look at the to-do list and we actually got better? In fact, what you're doing on the to-do list is just bumping, right? You're just doing it based on urgency. So then umpteen years later, decades later, the thinking in time management is like medical journal, right? Like medical thinking. It's changed. So that's called a one-dimensional time management. And you just bump things. In fact, nobody can control time. Time is a commodity that you cannot control. Time goes on whether you do it or not. And the truth is, most of us can do the urgency, but time management or event control, let's call it better, event control, it's a very emotional based thing. Right? You and I have said, okay, I got to get this charts done. I got to do that stupid medical legal report or WCB report. And you were so stressed out, you ended up clicking on a mini series 6 episodes later of Netflix. Right? You know,
no, it's true. It's true. And a lot of it is we feel overwhelmed by how much we have on our plates. And so then it becomes very easy to procrastinate or distract ourselves.
Exactly.
And it can even be distracting ourselves, not just with like idle leisure, but even distracting ourselves in work, right? That rather than doing the hard stuff, you know, maybe we go do some errands around the house or, you know, get some shopping that's not urgently needed to be done. Even just going to work and doing more paperwork.
Yep. And then we just keep being busy, right? But keeping busy doesn't mean being productive, right? So I'm the perfect master of this. I have 15 things on my to-do list today, and I only got 4 done, right? And every day you just keep bumping it, right? So that's called the first dimension. There's actually different dimensions, polydimensional. So dimension one is the to-do list, and it's based on urgency. Okay, which one do you bump? And we know that that's not adequate. Now, then comes the 80s and the 90s, and then there's a guy, Franklin Covey. I don't know how many of you heard of Franklin Covey. I used to have a big binder called Franklin Covey binder, right? That's how you organize the life. And Covey, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? He's the guy.
Oh, Stephen Covey.
Oh, Stephen Covey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I get you. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So there's 2 companies that joined, right? So anyways, there are 2 companies, and so that's called Franklin. I used to have these big Franklin folders, and they go into the urgency and importance, right? This is called a time management matrix, right? Some of you have heard it from the 7 habits of highly effective people, right? So you have the urgent, non-urgent, important, non-important, then you get 4 possibilities, right? And most of us still deal with urgent, important things. This is actually people who like you practice in ER, you're dealing with the urgent, important things, right? But the non-urgent and important things got ignored. Right, and that's why they say, why do people not read much more? And the maestro says, because books don't ring, right? You would always answer to the phone, to the urgent things, but they're important things that we don't deal with. So us physicians and medical practitioners were notorious in dealing with more urgent stuff, and we push the important things away, and then it fights back. I have literally met colleagues that forgot to file taxes for 7 years. And the CRA came to the door and garnished their wage. How do you do that, right? Because you keep doing the urgent one, right? And you forgot about. So this time matrix thing helps people to do, okay, I need to apportion the time, right?
Well,
but at the
I was just going to say, even if you don't internalize it so rigidly, and for anybody that has not read Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I strongly recommend reading it. But even just to be able to have that mental pause when something comes in front of you, whether you hear about it or you read about it or somebody, you're reminded of it in your head, say, is this truly urgent?
Yeah.
Is it distracting me from what's important that I have to get done to move ahead on this project or this goal? Sorry, please continue.
So it's absolutely important exercise. So for those of us who still stuck with this linear thing called the to-do list, you need a second X-axis, now Y-axis, to create the importance. And so you and I need to apportion our days that the toughest one are the non-urgent but important things. Filing tax return, doing your tax planning, right? Those things are super important. If you don't invest into this like relationship, then relationships blow up right down the road. And so definitely that is important. But then at the end of the day, you are still juggling different things. And the biggest thing, and the motive here, the MO is to do more things, right? But there's still not enough time of the day, right? You still don't create time. So then I attended a leadership conference, I think during COVID or pre-COVID. And the guy said, there's a third dimension. I said, whoa, what is the third dimension? Third dimension is called significance, right? You don't just deal with what is there. You would deal with what is the long-term significance. The long-term significance is not just what is important, it's way beyond that. I went to a leadership conference way back, a big 20,000 people thing in the States, and they talk about legacy, what you're left with. And after that conference, that's how I gave birth to, dug out my dream and gave birth to Synergy Wellness Center, right? These things are life-changing. What is significant to you? What is the end game? And so when you throw in the X, Y, and Z axis, it changes what you're going to do. It may change your priority and change what you do. You've been doing things for so many years, for decades. Is that why you're still doing it? Right? You need to ask why. Why am I doing this? You're running on a treadmill now for 10, 20, for me, 30 years, trading time for money, right? We're talking a lot of colleagues and say, I'm like 40-some-year-old practitioner. I got X number of dollars of debt. I can't afford to retire. Why am I doing this? Right? And a lot of people have that midlife thing and walk up and say, this is getting nowhere. And that's why there's so much attrition. People are walking out of the profession. Right? So until we find out why, we don't know what we're doing. And then there's this guy called, I forgot his name now, Rory Hahn, there you go. Rory Hahn, give him the credit for creating this. And he says there's this funnel that you can help create time, right? You can create time? You mean like other than the Avenger time stone? You can create time? And the question is, what can you do today to create more time tomorrow? So, wow, that's absolutely amazing. How do you create more time tomorrow? Well, are there things that you can do today so that you don't have to do it tomorrow? Okay, give you an example, right? And you and I do charts, do things every day, right? We have chart work to do. If you have a way to, let's say, create a macro in the electronic medical record system, EMR, it does the template for you. Or those of you drag and dictate, come and you try that, right? Right? Yep. Yeah, so things that could save you time, right? Then you get this ROTI, return on time invested. So what can you do today that you invest a little bit more time so that you reap the benefit? And the equation that I got was 30 times 30. So whatever task you want to give up to make it disappear, you invest 30 times the time you spend. So for example, a 5-minute task, you invest 150 minutes, okay? Simple math. What is a 5-minute task? Something that your staff could do. And so the problem that we have is we're our top enemy. We're the worst enemy because we want to do it. If you want to do it right, do it yourself. The more years we spend in tertiary care settings, the more we don't trust people, right? We just trust ourselves. I have specialty colleagues, if you refer them, they'll redo all the investigations all over because they don't trust anyone. So this mistrust becomes difficult for us to delegate, right? And that's a different session we're going to talk about. It's just delegation. But to delegate, you need a process. But the time, we're talking about time management here, event control. It's a 5-minute event you want to disappear in your daily life. Could be doing a chart, doing something at your clinic work. Invest 30 times, 150 minutes to teach, delegate one of your staff to do the job for you. And then poof, you earn 5 minutes per day. What if it's an hour? 30 times, invest 30 hours. And that could be learning EMR, right? Learning in EMR, what shortcuts can I do so that I make these things, stupid things, disappear, right? Prescription refills, you name it. And you invest 30 hours. I have colleagues who would not have 30 hours to give for anything. But you know what? If you invest the 30 hours, you earn 1 hour a day. And why don't we do that?
Paid for itself in a month, and you still have your career to run.
You either make more money, and you might keep your relationship that you cherish, or sports, or some hobby that you don't have to kill.
I mean, I even just reflect like in our personal lives, the parallel is children. I mean, you can sit there and you can clean up after your children, but at some point you just need to teach them how to scrub floors and tidy up the house and do their laundry, even if it's, like you said, 30 times that it takes you to just do the task yourself. But you realize that ultimately you're creating more time for yourself and less stress, right? And so this dovetails with every aspect of our lives, is just willingness to put in a little bit of front end investment in time to make our lives easier and simpler moving forward.
Right, exactly. So let's just end this episode with a funnel. Okay, this funnel is called permission, a permission funnel. We need to give ourselves emotional permission. Okay, I can give myself emotional permission. But once you give yourself emotional permission, then you can move forth. So the first permission you give yourself is to eliminate. Elimination, that's one. Can I do without this? Okay, can I do without this? The thing is say no, right? Say no, 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 no. For people like me, who is a yes man mostly, it's a very difficult thing. But if we want to get on top of this time management thing or more control, event control thing, we have to say no. Can I do without? So first permission is permission to say no and exit out of. Don't want to do it. Permission number 2 is, can we automate? Right? We're in the automation world. AI is going to run the world. AI can read CT scans better than we can, right? So can we automate? If you can automate, you're done. But the automation is not just AI, just technology. Automation means systemization. Can you have a system in your workplace, in your practice, in your finance, in your home life? Is it something that could be systemized? Right. And of course, that's a different talk altogether. Can you systemize it, or can you use technology to do it? Once you can automate, you're done. The third permission is permission to delegate. Okay. And we're going to have a whole talk about delegation. Can we delegate that away? And the fourth permission is, can I procrastinate? So you thought procrastination is a bad thing? Yes, it is. Procrastination is the assassination of motivation. Somebody once said that. But there are things that we should procrastinate because we got a finite amount of time right now. So things that don't fit that grid, XYZ grid, you need permission to procrastinate, to go back to the funnel. Okay. So you either procrastinate or you, number 5, concentrate. And whatever goes into the concentrate is like the filtration. You put all your time, energy, effort, you and your team, into the concentrate and get it done. And that's how people move and shake the world. Right?
That's very powerful.
And it's never been, to me, I've listened to so many people, right, in this space, but this absolutely did it for me. This crystallizes everything.
Very powerful. Very powerful. You know, I'm reflecting on when we were in Mexico in 2021 teaching with physician empowerment. And I remember coming across some wisdom that you shared as well, Wing, because I think I actually had to deliver that talk, but I know that it was your wisdom and your knowledge in this space of time control. But one of the key elements here is that it's not actually time control. Because like you said, time is passing us by. It's truly self-control.
Exactly.
It is self-control. It's knowing your priorities, setting them, and then sticking with them, even if that means saying no. And it's not just no to external requests on your time, your staff, your colleagues, you know, your family, friends, whomever is asking for your time, but it's even that internal voice telling you, oh, but go do this, it's easier, right? Or this is important now, when it truly isn't, if you're honest with yourself. And that's about, again, self-control, not time control. And I think that's very, very powerful, because when you look at people who have achieved enormous heights in, reached enormous heights in business, politics, athletics, whatever, fundamentally, they have the same number of hours in a day as we do.
Exactly.
But they've chosen, like you said, Wing, to concentrate and focus. And it is fundamentally self-control, whether you're an athlete, a performer, a business or political leader, or, even just a great, great dynamic physician, it comes down to self-control. And I think that is so, so powerful and so key. That's certainly what I've taken away from listening and reflecting in this space.
Exactly. So if we could apply these simple principles in every facet of our life, then we can have some freedom. Right. At the end of the day, we only live one life, right? And we're getting older one day at a time, right? So the sooner we get this in our brain, the sooner we reorganize our life, control life, then you get your life back and have more freedom.
The only other reflection I really had was just how precious time is. And I did not appreciate this 20 years ago when I was a teenager. But I blink and a decade has gone by. I blink and another decade has gone by. And so the challenge is to ask yourself, what am I doing right now with the time that I have? Especially realizing that we don't know how much of it we actually have here. And I think that allows us to focus down and say, okay, this actually isn't a priority. And I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to that meeting, or I'm not doing that, answering that email, because frankly, it's not going to be something I'm going to remember a year from now, let alone a decade from now in my life, right? And so again, just recognizing how precious these years in our lives are, and that these years are comprised of a million small moments and countless hours that do drift by if we don't exercise that self-control.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. No, this is a wonderful topic. I think we could go on and on about it, but we are going to do a future episode where we cover delegation, right? Which I think is the key to effective time management, is being able to hand tasks off, or as you said, Wing, automate a process. Yeah, so we'll cover that in a later episode, and I'm really looking forward to it, because again, these are the things that I think speak to all of us, regardless of specialty, regardless of stage of career. I think we all feel too busy, and we want a way out. We want things to be better, and they can be. I'm confident in it.
Exactly. Yeah. So imagine you could go home at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever, and be done with work. Wouldn't that be a dream?
Truly done.
Truly done.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening to the Physician Empowerment Podcast. If you're ready to take those next steps in transforming your practice, finances, or personal well-being, then come and join us at physempowerment.ca, PHYS empowerment.ca, to learn more about how we can help. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd really appreciate it if you would share our podcast with a colleague or friend, and head over to Apple Podcasts to give us a 5-star rating and review. If you've got feedback, questions, or suggestions for future episode topics, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to join us and be interviewed and share some of your story, we'd absolutely love that as well. Please send me an email at kmilo@physempowerment.ca. Thank you again for listening. Bye.